Hello, happy Tuesday. I wanted to come on live today. Sorry, let me just set up my camera here. Today, what I wanted to talk about is glyphosate. So, if you're new to my channel, I am Julie with Balance Life with Julie. I'm a regenerative health practitioner and a holistic nutritionist. I've reversed hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's in my body 100% holistically. And I've also recovered from adrenal issues as well as a depression that I battled with off and on over the years. I don't talk about it that much, but I feel like so many people are struggling with depression that I think it would be good for me to start speaking about it more. But anyway, welcome to this video. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to dive deep into glyphosate exposure. What exactly is glyphosate? I used to say glypho what because I didn't know what it was. But I wanted to talk about this because all of us, every single living thing on this planet is exposed to glyphosate. And a lot of people don't know what it is. They don't understand how much it impacts their health and their well-being. And so today I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive into that. I also want to talk about my newest experiment with you that I'm loving very much. And I'll get in some mindset things in there as well. So as I've shared in other videos, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's in 2014. And there is actually a direct connection to thyroid issues and glyphosate exposure. Interestingly, I went on medication back in 2014. No doctor, no naturopath ever spoke to me about what kind of diet I was eating and what kind of chemicals and heavy metals was I exposed to at the time. And it wasn't until I became a practitioner myself, until I went into holistic nutrition, that I really started to research gut health and exposure to glyphosate. And it was really quite by accident. I stumbled across a podcast with Dr. Zach Bush, and he was talking about this terrible herbicide that is in use rampantly in use all over the world. And as he listed off the different side effects and the health issues that it's connected to, back then, this was in spring of 2019, I couldn't believe that a chemical like this was actually legal for use in our food system. Now, of course, I laugh, but it's not a laughing matter. I've done a lot of research since 2019. And what I've come to learn and understand is that, unfortunately, most of the products that are sold to consumers, most of the foods that are sold to consumers, they're all toxic. They're loaded with chemicals and heavy metals. And this is why so much of our population is struggling with so many chronic health issues. It's because we're literally being sold poison and then being medicated when the inevitable diagnosis for some type of disease or illness develops. It to me is really an unconscionable way to do business, but that is how a lot of companies operate. Is they put out the toxic poisons, and then when people get sick, they put out the so-called medicines, the pharmaceuticals, to that keep people medicated for life. And I am beyond grateful that somehow I managed to stumble into this podcast, to listening to that podcast back in 2019, because it really opened my eyes to what's really going on in the food system, what's happening in the environment. And it led me to ask very serious questions as to, why are people so sick? Why in the US, a country that spends so much on healthcare, it literally has one of the sickest populations on the planet. I mean, Americans ought to be outraged for the amount of money that they spend on healthcare, how incredibly sick they are. Okay. So what I learned about glyphosate and have learned in the years since is that I'm going to try not to make this too long, but there is a bit of history here, and I'm also going to encourage you to do your own research. If you can find the documentary, there's a few documentaries on this subject. So maybe what I'll do is, I don't know. Let me come back to that thought, but. So basically, glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup. Roundup is the weed killer, the herbicide that gets sprayed on crops, and it also gets sprayed to kill off dandelions. I don't know if you remember, but back in the 80s, there was a commercial, like in the late 80s, I think it was. There was a commercial where it was like this guy, and then this one dandelion on the lawn, and he was going toe to toe with this dandelion, and he whips out his Roundup. And so anyway, for the longest time, we have been told that there is really no harm in using chemical herbicides and pesticides to kill off what we call weeds. Ironically, dandelions are actually very, very helpful for human health. They have like incredibly beneficial properties for health. Like they're anti-cancer, believe it or not. But anyway, people have a hate on for dandelions, and it's completely misplaced. So glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup, and Roundup is used in farming. It is used all over the planet to kill weeds. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that glyphosate is a water-soluble toxin. And we live on a water planet. We ourselves are mostly water. So when you unleash a chemical into the environment that is completely water soluble, you have no way of containing it. It goes up into the atmosphere, it goes into the water systems, it goes everywhere. It goes far beyond food. And so a lot of people, what they don't realize is they think if they're eating organic, they're not being exposed to this toxic chemical, but they are. And in fact, I actually stumbled upon a study from France last summer, in the summer of 2024. And in this study, they proved that glyphosate can actually get into your body through your skin. Right? Makes perfect sense. Our skin is our largest organ. So of course, anything that is water soluble and that is in the atmosphere is going to be able to get into our body, right? So what exactly is the deal with glyphosate? So Bayer is now the parent company of Monsanto. Monsanto is an agrochemical company. They've been around for 100+ years. They created things like Agent Orange in Vietnam. They've, created all kinds of wonderful, I don't mean that, right? Toxic chemicals that actually are terrible for human health. So this was their baby. Back in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s was when Roundup was brought into the marketplace. And since then, we've seen a skyrocketing of autoimmune conditions, fertility issues, autism. And of course, like, what I also want to highlight is when it comes to chronic health issues, there's never only just one cause. It's generally a bunch of things that compromise the body and create the perfect storm to create a situation which creates the illness, right? So glyphosate has been linked to different autoimmune conditions, and it's been linked to low fertility rates. It's been linked to different kinds of cancer like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But the way that Monsanto was able to originally get their patent was that they told the regulating agencies, the EPA, the FDA, that glyphosate doesn't impact human tissue. And in fact, it doesn't impact human tissue. it impacts microbes. And this is where it matters, because what's in our body, what's in our gut? Microbes. We are actually more microbe than we are human. The microbes that we rely on for our overall health and well-being, outnumber the human cells 10 to 1, right? So what glyphosate does in the soil is it disrupts the microbes in the soil. It literally destroys the microbes in the soil, destroys the earthworms, like takes away all the biodiversity and the complexity that needs to be present in the soil. What it does when it's sprayed on plants is it actually disrupts the amino acid profile of the plant. It disrupts a pathway known as the shikimate pathway. And so this is why GMO is bad, because when you're eating foods that are GMO, they literally don't have the complete amino acid profile that they're supposed to have. And then what it does in the human body is it destroys the human gut microbiome, because what do we have in our gut? Microbes. Now, interestingly, it's actually used as a herbicide, but it is an antibiotic. And what are antibiotics? Antibiotics have no ability to discern good microbes from bad microbes. They destroy absolutely everything. And so everyone who has been alive since the late 70s, early 80s has been putting in their body, not just through the food, but also through the atmosphere, through the water, through like all the different ways that we bring things into our body. We have been ingesting glyphosate nonstop most of our lives, or all our lives, depending on when you were born. And so this has serious implications for the human body. So what glyphosate does is we have this thin layer of cells that formulate the barrier between our gut, our GI system, and the rest of our body. The way our digestive system functions is from mouth to butt, it's supposed to be a closed system that is kind of a world unto itself, where we're consuming food, it gets broken down and into its component pieces, and then it gets absorbed in the small intestine. And then whatever isn't utilized gets, expelled, the water gets squeezed out in the large intestine, whatever nutrients are left get absorbed, and then, we poop, right? Whatever doesn't get used we poop out. But what happens with glyphosate is it starts to tear apart the tight junctions of the gut. And what that creates in the body is now something called leaky gut. So what is supposed to stay in that closed system? Microbes, pathogens, parasites, food particles, those things can start to leak into the rest of the body because the tight junctions have come apart. So this was very, very interesting to me. And if you are dealing with an autoimmune condition, I think this ought to be very interesting to you, because what I was dealing with back in 2019 was hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. I was dealing with an autoimmune condition. So when it comes to the different autoimmune conditions, we have weaknesses within different organs, right? So it's like if you're dealing with MS, you know that there's things going on in the central nervous system. If you're dealing with diabetes, you know that there's things going on with the pancreas. If you're dealing with thyroid issues, you know that there's a weakness in the thyroid. But most people don't understand, like, why is that weakness occurring, from what's the root of it? And so when I started to learn about glyphosate, like literally the pennies started to drop for me. It was like bing, 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 like everything started to connect. So in 2016, I was diagnosed with leaky gut. I was told I have leaky gut. I wasn't actually told what to do about it at all. I had terrible digestion and like a lot of bloating, a lot of gas, a lot of inflammation, like not pleasant at all. And so When I started to learn about glyphosate and the connection to leaky gut and thyroid issues, I knew that what I needed to do was I needed to actually address my gut health and get to the root of things and help my body to recover. So that was when I went on the search to figure out, like, okay, there's this path, there's this terrible chemical toxin that's been in my body my entire life that I knew nothing about until I stumbled onto listening to that podcast. So then I wanted to find out, was there a way, or is there a way for me to get glyphosate out of my body? And that really was, if you look back on your life, there are these turning points and you see them so clearly. That was a massive turning point in my own personal health and well-being, because that is what led me to the superfoods line that I utilize for my own personal health and that I've also worked with for 6 years now. And the reason is that it addresses some of the fundamental problems we have in the food system. It addresses the quality of food, so you're able to put in higher quality, more nutrient dense foods into your body and really nourish your cells at the cell level. And interestingly, they have the only glyphosate solution on the planet. And this has been clinically proven, third party tested. So it's not just the company itself that's saying, like, oh, this is a great option. It's been independently tested by a third party, which to me is a superior way of vetting a product, right? So it's not like every company is always going to say their stuff is the best, right? But when you have an independent third party lab testing it and saying, yes, this is like the gold standard, then obviously there's something there. So in this particular case, Biomedic is what I I should have. It's just herbs. It's actually a capsule that has 4 different herbs in it, and I meant to bring it up and I forgot. So maybe on another bit of video I'll bring it up. But what I love about it is that it's herbal, and the mixture that's in there of the herbs. There are herbs in there that repair the tight junctions of the gut. And then there are herbs that go in there and remove the glyphosate from the body as well, as along with chemicals and heavy metals from the gut. And there are people that have done tests on themselves. They've gotten tests before they've gone on a protocol with the superfoods and the gut support, and then they've done tests on themselves afterwards. And there's when they did the clinical trial, what they saw over a period of 6 weeks was, and this is without people even changing their diet. Although I personally think that when you change your diet, when you stop putting in the toxic food, your results are going to be so much better than if you still are eating the toxic food. So they had 2 groups of people, group A and B, all were eating the standard American diet, so processed foods, fast foods, and then they put one group on the gut support and the other group they didn't. And what they saw was, in the group that was taking the gut support, over a period of 6 weeks, their glyphosate levels dropped by 74%, and their C reactive protein, which is a marker of inflammation, it dropped by 75% over 6 weeks. And I know of people who have continued on the protocol with the superfoods and the gut support and tested their glyphosate levels over time. And over time, their levels have dropped by up to 95%, which is amazing. That means their gut is fully repaired and their health isn't being impacted by this ongoing exposure to glyphosate. Now, unfortunately, the toxic environment we live in never stops. And so even for myself personally, I've taken this gut support ongoing for almost 6 years. I might take a week off from it here or there, but I'm well aware of the fact that I'm constantly being exposed to glyphosate. Um, you know, I live near a big city. There's airplanes that fly in the sky, and a lot of people don't realize that some of the fuel, if the planes are utilizing alternative fuels, there's glyphosate in there as well. And so I'm very, very vigilant when it comes to my health and my overall health and well-being. Back in July, back in July of 2019 was when I found the protocol to remove the glyphosate. And it's called the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation. I talk about it often. There are weekly calls for it. You are more than welcome to come to a weekly call and just listen in on the information, because this is information that I wish I had back in 2014 when I was diagnosed, because I wouldn't have even gone on the medication. I 100% would have just done this protocol and would have done my body a huge favor. So anyway, I went on the protocol in July, late July of 2019. And I decided, just because my body had been depleted for so many years, I decided to do 6 months solid on this protocol. And I was doing the gut support, I was doing the green superfoods, I was doing the aminos, the apothecary, I was doing the whole thing. I was doing parasite cleansing as well. And by the end of the 6 months, I was off the thyroid meds. I never went back on them. And that was well over 5 years ago. And if I think, like, people ask me all the time, what do you think was the turning point in your health? I was like, that protocol, that particular 6 month protocol got me, got rid of the aches and pains I had been dealing with for years, got rid of the hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. And the way that it did it was that the body is naturally able to heal itself. So because I was supporting myself nutritionally, because I was getting rid of the chemicals, the heavy metals, addressing glyphosate, doing deep gut repair, and I was also addressing parasites, now my body finally had the environment that it needed to actually heal itself. And so that protocol was a big, big turning point in my health. And then since then, I've just been able to biohack and accelerate my health into a better place with each passing year. And I love sharing this information. I wish that everybody would hear this and really understand that most of the foods that you're spending your hard-earned dollars on, they're GMO, they're laden with chemicals, they have hardly any nutrients in them. And you're actually putting more burden on your body by putting, things that are sold in a typical grocery store into your body, because unfortunately, there's very little oversight to what is being sold to consumers. I challenge you, just go to a grocery store and look at all those aisles of quote unquote food in boxes with all this bright coloring and packaging, and none of it is food. None of it is food. The cereal boxes, the candy bars, the soda pop, and all the processed stuff, even those quote unquote healthy snacks, it's all dead food. And so you're wasting your money there, to be honest, you are. And so for me, like, it's transformed my life. It's transformed my health. I was struggling so much before that protocol. I was tired all the time. I needed to take a nap most days because I was so exhausted. And I was so inflamed when I would get up in the morning. I couldn't stand up straight because my back hurt, my knees hurt, my hips hurt, everything hurt. My whole body was inflamed. And then my gut was like so embarrassing. I, had a lot of like issues with gas and bloating, and I just didn't feel comfortable in my skin at all. And I was depressed. Because I didn't feel good in my body, and I wanted to like not spend the rest of my days like that. I did not want to spend the rest of my days struggling with my body. And by the grace of God, I found that interview with Dr. Zach Bush talking about glyphosate. And then by the grace of God, 3 or 4 months later, I found that protocol with the transformation, and it literally changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my health and my life. The brain fog, the depression, the fatigue, the aches and pains, like all that stuff disappeared. I finally was able to get off of medication that I knew wasn't doing anything for my body in terms of my health. And I am beyond grateful that I stumbled across those videos, that video from Dr. Zach Bush, and then the video about the transformation. And I'm so glad. And I get it. If you are someone who's been on a health journey and you feel like you've tried everything under the sun and you're so tired of getting your hopes up and spending your money and doing the things, I get it. I was exactly where you may be right this second. I had done so many different protocols. I had spent so much money. I was so frustrated. And I'm glad that I was able to go out and just give this one last thing a try. I was like, okay, let me just try this. And that one last thing was the thing that ended up becoming the turning point for creating better health and vitality in my life, in my body. And I am forever grateful that that I found it, because I had spent, almost 6 long years at that point trying different things and spinning my wheels and just being unhappy and miserable. And so anyway, I hope that that helps. But glyphosate is something that, you know, it's now getting a few more headlines, but people still are largely unaware of it. They don't understand that they're being exposed to it all the time. Even if you're trying to eat organic, you're still exposed to it because you're breathing it in. It's getting into your body through your skin, through your water, if you're not mindful of what type of water you're drinking. And yeah, like, everybody needs to be aware, not to live in fear, but to actually understand what it is that we're all being exposed to, and then to take proactive measures for your own personal health and the health of your family, so that you can live your best life. Because let's face it, corporations like Monsanto and Bayer, they don't care. They don't care about you and your family. It doesn't impact them. They're only interested in keeping their shareholders happy. So then actually, let me fast forward, and then I'm going to talk about something else. So back in 2018 or 2019, Bayer, which is a big agrochemical, or not, no, Bayer, which is a pharmaceutical company out of Germany, they bought Monsanto at a pretty good rate, like at a massive, massive discount. And Monsanto has several thousand lawsuits against them. They've also had several judgments against them where, they owe plaintiffs tens of millions of dollars. And now that Monsanto is owned by a pharmaceutical company, I've been told by different people that you can't really sue a pharmaceutical company in the US, even if you end up winning, you're never going to see that money because you can't sue a pharmaceutical company. You can't win against a pharmaceutical company in the US, or anywhere else, it seems, right? And so this is why it's even more important to be proactive, because we are being exposed to all kinds of things that we're not aware of. And this is why it's important to, clean up your diet, get rid of the chemicals and the heavy metals, and, do EMF protection, right? If you're like me and you're on your tech a lot of the time, you have to be proactive. You do not have the luxury to just sit back and be like, we'll see, and then especially if you're struggling with your health, if you're dealing with an autoimmune condition or multiple autoimmune conditions, and dealing with a diagnosis of some sort, that's your body putting out the red flags and very clearly telling you that it's not well. And your body is your only place that you have to live. There is no other home that you have on this planet besides your body. And so the better you take care of it, the better you're going to feel, the more energy and vitality you're going to have, and the more you're going to enjoy life. So to that end, if you want to join me and you want to get healthier, I do have a program called Elevate. I do live weekly calls for it that you can come to ask your questions. I also there's lots of videos that literally walk you through how to get started on your health journey. What are the protocols to do? and how to start making intelligent swaps, swapping out foods that are not serving you and adding in foods that are actually life-giving and help to clean up your body, help to support overall health and vitality in your body. So you can check the caption below the video, check out Elevate. And I'm always like, as a practitioner, I'm always testing things, I'm always trying things. There's a lot of things that I test that I'm like basically, if I personally wouldn't use it, I'm never going to work with it. I'm never going to recommend it. That's kind of the first thing. And then the second thing is I always need to know, like, what is the science? What is the research? What's available out there for me to wrap my head around it and understand it so that I can fully explain it to people. So today I wanted to share my latest, greatest thing that I'm testing. And right now I'm on day 2 of a 7 to maybe 10-day water fast. I've done 2 like 10-day water fasts this year, and I wasn't going to do another one, but my other half, my fiance, decided that he wanted to do a water fast, and I said, okay, well, I'll join you just for the just for the heck of it. I'll support you. And so yeah, I'm doing my water fast. I'm using what I always do every single water fast is I like to, so our body is made up of, 62% hydrogen and some oxygen. I think I can't remember the percentage, if it's like 27%, something like that. And then we have like micronutrients, trace minerals, that kind of stuff that we need. So anytime I usually use this ionic elements when I make my green shakes. But when I'm doing a water fast, I will just do a few drops of these like on my tongue or under the tongue once or twice a day. And then I like to use my molecular hydrogen bottle. And I do find that I've done a 14-day water fast on just distilled water, and it was very, very depleting, and I didn't have a lot of energy and I couldn't work. But I find that when I do molecular hydrogen water, I have a lot more energy. I'm able to work my normal day, but I use the frequencies in the bottle. I always run the frequencies on recovery when I'm water fasting because I figure I want to help my body to reduce inflammation. I want to help support recovery in my body, reducing oxidative damage and cellular damage in the body. So that's why I like to do the recovery cycle. And then this particular company, Lumivite, just came out with a hydrogen tablet. And I'm not one for supplements at all. I don't do any supplements. But then when I saw the formula for the hydrogen tablet, I was sold. So I like to also put these drops into my water. And what this does is it helps to structure the water. It helps to bring more oxygen into the water as well. So I put a few drops of this in here right before I started this live. And I love having like phrases for my water. So why not joy? So I love drinking from this, from this particular glass. So let me show you the hydrogen tablet. It's like this, very tiny little tablet. And all you do is you drop it into the water. But what got me really interested in this tablet is it's not just molecular hydrogen. There's a few other key ingredients in there that don't exist in any other hydrogen tablet. Just like on the bottle, what makes this particular hydrogen bottle so unique is there is no other bottle in the world where you can run recovery frequencies or energy frequencies or frequencies of the sun into your water. This is the only bottle on the planet that does it. And it has been third-party tested and rated by 2 independent labs that have passed it with flying colors. So in terms of the hydrogen tablet, if it was just hydrogen, I don't know that I would be as interested. But there are things in here like spermidine, resveratrol, NR, which is the precursor to NAD plus. So after the age of 40, our body makes less and less NAD plus. And so by giving your body the precursor to NAD plus, the NR, that will help your body to make its own NAD plus. And then on top of that, it's got magnesium, which a lot of people are deficient in magnesium. So it's got magnesium in here. It has vitamin C and B12. I'm going to just drop my tablet in. And as I continue to talk, you can listen to what I have to say. So what got me really interested in this particular tablet was the spermidine, the resveratrol, and the NR, because there are people who are, supplementing with resveratrol. There are people who are taking supplements of NAD plus, not even able to fully utilize that NAD plus. So I was very, very excited about the concept of a hydrogen tablet that had not just hydrogen, but had NR, as well as resveratrol, spermidine, and all of these components. What they help with is anti-aging, longevity. They help clean up cellular waste in the body. And they all work together synergistically along with the molecular hydrogen. And then molecular hydrogen helps to upregulate the RNA, the DNA, the mitochondria, helps reduce inflammation. So to me, this is the ultimate anti-aging supplement. So I just dunked it into my water, and you have to wait for the tablet to dissolve. And once it's dissolved, you can have the tablet. So just to give you an idea, when I'm drinking from the bottle, I am microdosing hydrogen all day. And then when I'm having the tablet, I'm taking a big macro dose of molecular hydrogen. But then we also have the other things like spermidine, resveratrol, NR, magnesium, vitamin C, as well as B12. So it's a very, very amazing synergistic formula. And then here I get to utilize the frequencies into the water, as well as there's magnets in the base that help structure the water as well. And so earlier I told you I put this into my water here as well to help structure the water. Structured water is much better in our body in terms of helping the body to absorb nutrients, to absorb hydration. And it is really, really important to get structured water. We can structure our water by eating fruits. Fruits and vegetables have structured water. And I love my joy glass, my glass of joy. You can also structure your water by have a little bit right there. You can also structure your water by using minerals or putting it in the sun. But there's a few different ways to structure the water. The tablet is still dissolving, so I'm going to let it dissolve. Anyway, I've been utilizing this for the last couple of weeks and really, really loving it. The first day that I used it, I had a little bit of a headache. I think it was actually helping my body to detox. And now that I'm on day 2 of water only, I think it's really helping me in terms of my energy and my mood. And that's the other thing I've noticed, is that I've got a lot of things going on. Like most people, everybody's got a lot of things going on. But the tablets have definitely helped me to find a sense of calm within the storm. My nervous system feels so relaxed. And I've been noticing even more vivid dreams. And I have my biohacks for sleep, like apothecary. But obviously when I'm water fasting, I'm not taking the apothecary. And so I'm having some pretty vivid dreams, deeper sleeps. I do track my sleep with my Aura ring. So I'm noticing that a deeper, more restful sleep. And yeah, so I'm currently taking about 3 tablets a day. You can decide how many tablets you want to take, 1 or 2 or 3. It's up to you. And the tablets are actually only available in the US. So if you have roundabout ways to get products to yourself from the US, I definitely encourage you to get the tablet and give it a try, or get the bottle. Ideally, get both. I love my biohacks for this reason. Okay. All right. The tablet's fully dissolved, so I'm going to just drink this back quickly. Awesome. All done. All right. So those were the things that I wanted to touch on today. And I hope that you found some value in this video. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. And if you know anybody that could benefit from hearing the information on this video, please share this video with them. And yeah, I'm doing my lives every 2 weeks, different topics every 2 weeks. And my quick little mindset tip for you, because I like doing mindset tips, is just practice gratitude. Find ways to practice gratitude every single day. And the more you can do that, the more you will find things in your life to be grateful for. And if you can write down your gratitudes, even better, or just talk about them, speak them out loud, like speak to the universe, speak to your creator, talk about what it is in your life that you're really grateful for, and you will be blessed with more to be grateful for. All right. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of my online community. Check the info below this video. Feel free to share it. If you share this video on Instagram, make sure that you tag me and I can repost as well. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you on the next live. Bye for now.